Well, good morning, everybody. It is a big day. I got a lot of things to do, so I'm just going to take you around with me. We're going to start some seeds. I may be planting my first set of Brussels sprouts, which will be the heirlooms, and the hybrids will come next. I've got to feed my bees. I believe that's about it for right now. Oh, we got to check for eggs. So a couple things going on. Hope you like my sunglasses. I just got back from surfing and remember I had to do this and left my sunglasses at the beach, so I've got my wife's on. I think pink's my color. What do you guys think? I don't know what we've got in here. This is where I keep my soil. I hope it's dry and I hope I have some in there. So it is dry, but it is bare, so we're gonna have to make some soil as well. So there you go. We're gonna make some soil, and I'm gonna start by planting my seeds. We're doing our fall seeds right now, so we're really gearing up for fall. And I'm going to be planting some broccoli. Now, I planted some heirloom broccolis already, and I'm gonna grow heirlooms. I'm gonna do the same thing I'm doing with the Brussels sprouts, where I'm gonna grow some heirlooms, and I'm gonna grow some hybrids. But I just got my hybrid seeds in, so I want to try these. These are Green Magic broccoli and then Imperial broccoli. So we'll see how these do. I want to compare both of them. They're both supposed to be heat tolerant, which is going to be very good for us, especially the time of year we're going to plant them. Right now it is July 1st, and our goal is to get these into the ground by the middle of August. So you can see we've got a little bit of time, but we really are on a time crunch if you go by the 6-week schedule. And because the sun's gonna be lower in the fall, we want to make sure that we give it a little bit extra time because they won't be getting as much sun about that time. It's still gonna be hot, but there will be some reprieve from the heat because of the way the sun goes around my garden, and they'll get some shade and stuff like that. But we need to find a good, happy place for them to be so we can get the most growth out of them. And the next set that I'm going to do after this, probably next week, I'm going to start my rutabagas because they take about 100 days. So I'm going to start my rutabagas. I transplanted those over the spring and it worked really well, so we're going to continue that. What I'm using for this is just regular old topsoil. I've been having pretty good luck with it, so I don't see why I would change anything from the recipe. In the fall and winter I don't use this, but because things can kind of sit outside and get going, it'll work better. So I'm just screening it right now, and that's just going to pull out all of like this chunky stuff. You know, this doesn't do your seeds any good, but this little bit should hopefully get us enough to get going. So this is still a little wet from a rainstorm we had, so I'm going to let it sit out here just for a little bit. I'm not gonna make you sit here and watch it dry, but just so I can get more of this fine soil to break down a little bit. So when you spread it out, it doesn't take very long for it to dry in the summer, that's for sure. In the wintertime, it takes days, but this time of year, it's no time. But in the meantime, I did notice that the chickens need food, so we're gonna have to feed these bad boys too. It's a little bit of everything today. Got my little feeder here, my chicken feeder. What you reckon, they're hungry?
Yeah.
They're following you like stink on poop, boy. Here, I'll get this for you. You ready? Mm-hmm. Go, 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 go. I don't know, I'm hoping 4 or 5 for the first start, but I bet none. 1 egg for now? Yeah, you let them out late, so it's all right. It's one less they can eat, right?
Right.
Starting to get more eggs now. They're filling up more and more each day. So we're getting about 1 in the morning, then we'll come out in the afternoon, we'll get like 4 or 5 after that. So we're getting more eggs, but back to the seeding. So just by doing this, look at all this extra stuff. Those seeds will not grow in this, and it can cause air pockets and block the roots and stuff like that. So that's why we remove it. But just by doing this, just all that comes out. I mean, look, we even got a rock. That is not going to do any good. And now we have nice, fairly fluffy. It's not great, but you know, I did 2 trays with it so far and had like 100% germination, so I'm actually not too worried about it. In the winter time I use Pro Mix because it is completely fluffy and it is better, but for right now I think for the cost savings this will do. But I don't really want to sit outside and have to screen in the wintertime. That's why I use that stuff. But right now it's not hot. I'm in the shade, so it's not a big deal. I take that back. It's plenty hot, but you get the gist. It you know, it's more comfortable. Let's put it that way. I prefer to be hot than cold. I can tell you that much. The reason why I like it is because when I go to put this in, it's just plain and simple. You just dump it right in. Especially when you do like a low amount like this. I don't have to worry about pouring it out everywhere. See if this fills it up all the way. Now this is a 72 tray, which I have to admit I do like these more than the smaller ones, but you know, different crops need different things, and that's why we have a few different sizes for us. All right, we're gonna start with the Green Magic. There's at least 100 seeds in this pack, so we're gonna try and use, I may do half and half. And I think that'll leave us plenty of seeds for the spring, so we can attempt to grow them in the spring. Well, I don't know. That didn't look like 100 seeds. Let's find out. For the secret sauce, we top with perlite. And water in. So there is a difference here. One reason why I picked these is the Imperial is more heat tolerant, and the the Imperial also is mature in supposedly 71 days, and the Green Magic is a little bit heat tolerant if I'm not mistaken, but it's matured in 57 days, so it's a much faster growing. So we're using these varieties to our advantage. We can start the Green Magic, get a harvest, wait a couple weeks, get a harvest off of the Imperial, and then more than likely wait a couple more weeks and get a harvest off of our Calabrese broccoli that we started a couple weeks ago. So as you can see, we're trying to use these different varieties and, you know, specific things to our advantage so that we can get prolonged harvest and not have to gorge ourselves on broccoli until we're tired of it and then basically go without for a couple months. Nobody wants to do that. Not to mention, we can also plant some of this in the greenhouse, so we'll probably end up starting maybe like another 6-pack or something of, I'd say, the Green Magic, because it's so fast to mature, and then we can continue to get a harvest out of that. Even though it'll only be like 2 or 3 heads out of there, it's still something to harvest and enjoy throughout the winter. You've been watching over the winter since I started using this technique. I really like it. The perlite acts as a top dressing. It retains the water, but it's extremely light so that anything can push through it. So a lot of problems I've had in the past is like the soil will get compacted on top of it a little bit and the seed actually can't come up. So it's less friction for the seed to germinate, and that'll let it come up and flourish a lot faster. And not to mention, it can already get light in between the gaps of all of these little pebbles and stuff while it's coming up, so it can start to feed. Now, the trick is also that I'm going to be doing, because I did this before, is I started my seeds and I just left them out here because it's plenty warm right now, and so they germinated way faster than I could ever imagine. Usually it's like 10 days for them to germinate, but when I left them outside in the summertime, my last cabbage and broccoli, they all germinated in like 3 days. So I can get a faster germination if I just let them sit here in the shade, and then once they pop, I'll take them inside and I'll start to get them going inside under the grow lights. But for right now, I'm just gonna let them out here until they really come up and go. And they're gonna be in the shade the whole time. So even though like it's forecasted to be like 94 degrees out here, it's still in the shade. It's gonna be like 10 degrees cooler, right? So if you think about it, it's only 84 degrees in the shade. That's perfect. It's a little bit warm, but it's pretty good, so it'll get it going and give it an opportunity for that seed to germinate and go up. The only thing is I'm gonna have to water it a little bit more than I normally do. Usually I start a seed, I don't even water it until it comes up. This time I may have to come back and just kind of re-water, but I'm not worried about that because I'll just leave my trusty watering can right next to it. So I'll fill it up, leave it there, and it's gonna be good to go. So now I've got to feed my bees. It doesn't take but a few minutes, and I'll show you that. It's literally just cracking the top and putting the food in. But unfortunately, I do got to get suited up because I'm here by myself. And if there was an issue, I don't want to get all stung up and just be stung up by myself. So I'd rather just wear my suit and be safe. And if anybody is wondering or curious or anything like that, we've had our bees for a couple weeks. We've fed them about every 2 to 4 days. I've opened the hive that many times since I've had them, and I've also taken the hive completely apart and inspected it, and I have not been stung one time yet, which is a lot better than I thought it would be. All right, so I got some food in my hands here. We got some food, I'm all suited up, and this isn't like a big thing. This is just literally, we're gonna take the top off, look in, see what's going on, and then basically give them some food and move on. So we're gonna pry it open and look. All right, so you can see there's very little water in here. Got a couple dead soldiers. We just give them a little bit of this water and it's helping them, give them energy, because right now there's not a lot of pollen. So there's not a lot of food for them, and they're trying to build their hive and build their comb. And so right now, since they can't do that, we're providing them some food that will help them move on to the next level of building their comb. But just to show you what's going on with our bees, in case you're curious, is, if you remember, but we had one box on there and we actually added another box because as we went into it, we saw that they were building really fast. In like a week, they had filled up one frame. But the other issue became, we're constantly building queen cells the whole time. So what they do is they make two kinds of queen cells. They make supersedure cells and then swarm cells. So a supersedure cell goes like up on the actual frame, and you can tell because it looks like a cup. And hopefully once I get more comfortable handling bees, I'll be able to show you this stuff more in person. But that means that there's something wrong with the queen and she's not really laying, or she's sick, and they're like, hey, we need to replace the queen. But then the swarm cells are the ones that they produce on the bottom, and what that's telling you is like, hey, we're super crowded, we want to get out of here, we need another queen so we can ditch this queen or take the old queen, leave this new queen in here, and half of us are going to leave. So we added the box to try and stop that, to give them more space so they could flex a little bit. So that's why we added the box. And I thought I was a little fast, but that's what the guy mentoring me said do. So we're just gonna move with it. Now, I will tell you this bee suit, it's very breathable, like incredibly hot. I got sweat dripping out of everywhere. And it's crazy, you come out here for 5 minutes and my shirt will be soaking wet. And my eyes, I gotta bust out the 1970s headband on, you know, the sweatband, so it blocks all the sweat from going on my eyes. Because I'm gonna tell you, if you're bald, hair has a purpose. This right here doesn't stop any water from coming down into your face, any sweat or anything like that. It's kind of brutal. Okay, so I was thinking about it, and I know we said we were gonna plant Brussels sprouts, but I think I'm gonna hold off, and I wanna show you and tell you why. There's a couple things going on here. Man, these glasses suck. They're like tinted up to here, and then down here they're not. They're like my grandma used to wear them, so I feel like I need to rock them like this so I can see all the time. I don't know, it's like confusing because I'm like shade, sun, shade, sun. It's terrible. So it finally stopped raining and we were able to start treating for our Japanese beetles on the green beans. And so taking that account with the heat right now, I think the best method of action for these plants, these Brussels sprouts, I think I want to hold off. I think because we have a significant amount of damage up top here. And so what we want to do is we want to push fertilizer to this garden to outgrow some of the damage. So when you push the fertilizer, it's going to cause it to grow more, and it can help it recover from the damage from these pests. And being that these plants they're stressed right now because they're sitting out in the heat. I mean, it's going to be really hot for the next week. So we want to be easy on them. And I don't really want to push them too hard as far as like fertilizer and getting fresh growth in this heat. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to push fertilizer to this garden probably today or maybe tomorrow. I'm going to inject it into the injector through the in-ground system. And then I think what we'll do is we'll wait, and then the next time that we're gonna water again, because I'm gonna switch it from it's been watering every 3 days up till now. And when I was running a sprinkler, I was sprinkling every 2 days, basically from May on up. And I look around and I don't see any real stress from that schedule, but I know because we're getting into the heat, it's better just to try and keep all of the roots cooler and just kind of keep them a little bit more happy. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna adjust everything to every 2 days. And that way, when we get these in the ground, they'll be getting water more often and they'll be way more comfortable and ready to go. And so, I mean, they're already ready, and it looks like, yeah, we got an issue here. So we're gonna have to kind of eyeball that a little bit. And I think what we're actually gonna do too, because of this heat, is I may move them into like a partly shady spot. So instead of being here where it gets a lot of afternoon sun, I may put it over there where it gets like morning and then a break from the afternoon. I'm not really sure what I want to do just yet. And I may dance. So like one day when it's gonna be real hot, I'll put it over there. If it's gonna be cool, I'll bring them over here. It'll kind of be a pain in the butt, but at the same time, I think it's gonna be worth it because it gives those plants a chance to recover and reprieve from the heat. So as much as I want to put them in right now, I think I need to wait about a week to do so, roughly. And I'll do it all on here because I want to do this whole hybrid versus heirloom thing, like kind of so we can all see how it goes and show when I'm planting and the schedule and stuff like that. But I am happy that we are starting to get this under control because as you can see, it got bad quick. We had so much rain for so long. It was just like every night we'd get a shower, so you'd spray it, it'd wash off. So I just stopped doing it because I got tired of wasting my neem oil. But it should be doing a little bit better now. And we'll start to see new growth pushing from here. And I've seen it where the whole top of these bushes were just completely bare. And then once we get them under control, the Japanese beetles, they'll just explode in growth again. All I gotta say is a Japanese beetle loves a green bean.